Black Panther Wakanda Forever, the film opens with Shuri, Letitia Wright, operating inexhaustibly in her lab, as T'Challa is dying from an unknown illness, and he or she is hoping to search out a cure. Once she finds an answer which will help, she is met by Ramonda, Angela Bassett, who somberly informs Shuri that her brother has passed on. The Dominion of Wakanda holds a ceremonial occasion procession for his or her beloved king. Each subject dresses in white, and a mural of T'Challa has been painted. Shuri and Ramonda bring T'Challa's casket out till a ship arrives to hold him up. Shuri takes one last moment to express emotion over her brother's casket, whereas the Dominion will the Wakandan salute. 1 year later, Ramonda arrives at the United Nations. The North American country's Secretary of State chastises Wakanda for not living up to their guarantees of obtaining concern in worldly affairs. The French SOS conjointly notes that they believe the Wakandans are keeping vibranium for building weapons of mass destruction. Ramonda hits back that they're still mourning T'Challa's loss, which they grasp what would happen if vibranium fell into the hands of outsiders. The night before, an reaching facility in African nation was infiltrated by mercenaries attempting to accumulate vibranium. However, they were met by Dora Milaje warriors' crystal rectifier by Okoye, Denai Gurira, all of whom proceeded to fleetly incapacitate them. The Dora Milaje then bring the captured mercs before the World Organization, wherever Okoye forces them to kneel. Before they leave, Ramonda warns that any recurrent makes an attempt to door this can be met with a fierce response. Within the Atlantic Ocean, an independent agency team led by Dr. Graham, Lake Bell, operates with a vibranium detecting machine. Two divers go underwater and notice that their mining drill has been wrecked, simply before the two are taken and killed by unseen attackers. Moments later, a tribe of blue-skinned folks, Tolokans, emerge and proceed to attack the ship, killing the people on board. Dr. Graham and her colleague arrange to land in an exceedingly whirlybird. However, the Tolokan leader Namor, Tena Huerta Mejia, grabs the helicopter and hurls it into the ocean. Ramonda and Okoye come back to Wakanda, wherever Ramonda finds Shuri continued her work on new technology, whereas her mother suggests that she continue functioning on her artificial simple herb to bring back the Black Panther. Shuri refuses as she believes the Black Panther to be a relic and solely tried to recreate the herb to save lots of T'Challa. Ramonda then brings Shuri by the water to undertake and burn their ceremonial garbs to finish the mourning amount and start to celebrate T'Challa's life. Shuri expresses anger at the globe for her brother's death. Moments later, they're met by Namor, who tells Ramonda and Shuri that he wasn't proud of T'Challa's call to show Wakanda to the remainder of the world. As a result of this, left his kingdom open and susceptible to attackers since Tolokans conjointly possess vibranium. Namor orders them to locate and produce to him the man of science that created the vibranium detecting machine, or he can attack Wakanda. He conjointly tells them to not let the others comprehend his existence. Ramonda tasks Okoye with about to find the scientist, however Shuri tags on despite her mother's objections. She and Okoye travel Virginia to search out Everett Ross Martin Freeman, wherever they raise him about the scientist. To their surprise, Ross informs them that the scientist could be an adolescent at MIT named Riri Williams, Dominique Thorne. Shuri goes to Riri's chamber and informs her that she desires to go together with them, whereas conjointly learning that her vibranium detecting machine was just a category project that the independent agency acquired. Riri doesn't believe the urgency till Okoye pops out of her lavatory and makes Riri go with them. Riri leads Shuri and Okoye to her garage wherever she works on her projects. Soon, Federal Bureau of Investigation agents attain the garage, forcing the women to spring into action and flee. Riri gets her own iron armor suit that helps her fly, while Shuri and Okoye arrange to drive away. A drone goes when them, however Riri flies high enough to shoot it down before she runs out of oxygen.
The drone then crashes over many cop cars, permitting Shuri and Okoye to stay going.
Unfortunately, they're stopped once the Tolokans corner them on a bridge and throw a water bomb at them, inflicting Shuri to lose consciousness. Riri conjointly crashes upon the scene, and therefore the Tolokans arrange to capture her. However, Okoye engages in battle with them, ostensibly killing 3 troopers before facing the final Atuma, Alex Livanali. He nearly kills her along with her own spear till she shocks it out of his hands, and the other 3 Tolokans rise unharmed.
Once Okoye makes an attempt to continue fighting, she is knocked off the bridge.
Shuri regains consciousness and tells the Tolokans to require her with them, so that they take her and Riri. Ross goes to the crime scene on the bridge future day, wherever he's met by Contessa Valentina First State Fontaine, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, as she is currently director of the independent agency, and conjointly Ross's ex-wife.
Ross locates Shuri's Kimoyo beads and on the cutie takes them with him.
Okoye returns to Wakanda before the council to raise Ramonda to steer a team underwater to search out Shuri. Except for her failure to keep Shuri safe, Ramonda strips Okoye of her rank as general and of her position as Dora Milaje. Ramonda goes to Shuri's workplace and asks her AI narrator, Trevor Noah, to trace Shuri's beads. She gets to bear with Ross, who on the cutie speaks to her behind Val's back. He tells Ramonda that the independent agency believes Wakanda is chargeable for the attack. On the mining ship, however, Ramonda cannot tell him abundant regarding Namor's involvement. Ramonda goes to Haiti, wherever she finds Nakia, Lupita Nyong'o, performing at a school ever since the blip.
Whereas she and Ramonda are happy to examine every other, Ramonda notes Nakia was absent from Chala's funeral.
Nakia tells her that she couldn't bear to think about it as being the top of his life, despite the fact that Ramonda reminds her that for Wakandans, death isn't the end.
She asks Nakia for facilitate in rescuing Shuri.
Nakia goes to talk to an area village lady within the Yucatan Peninsula, as she has seen Namor and describes his legend as Kukulkan, or the feathered serpent god. Down in Talokan, Shuri is given ancient garbs to wear before meeting with Namor. He begins to inform her his backstory. In 1571, his mother, Maria Mercedes Coroy, was a part of a village that had been tormented by variola when the arrival of Spanish conquistadors. The folks turned to the god Chak for salvation. They found a blue material underwater that they eaten to cure them of their ailments. However, whereas it removed their sicknesses, it turned their skin blue and made them underwater since they may not breathe air. Namor was born totally different from the others, with wings on his ankles, and the ability to breathe onto land and underwater. His mother died heartsick because of missing her life on the surface, and once he visited bury her. He found the conquistadors predatory and enslaving the villagers. Namor and therefore the Tolokans attacked, with one priest concerning Namor as un niño sin amor, a kid while not love, and that's wherever he got his name. As a result of he has no love for the surface world. He takes Shuri and shows her his kingdom, a prosperous and thriving nation not like Wakanda, and he asks Shuri to assist defend their kingdoms against the rest of the world. Nakia begins her mission to recover Shuri and Riri. Meanwhile, Ramonda meets with Namor when she speaks to Ross, who enlightened her that the independent agency is seeking to require action against Wakanda for the mining ship attack. Once she tells Namor to simply accept responsibility for it, he warns Ramonda regarding taking retributory action against the Wakandans if they threaten Talokan's exposure. Nakia makes her manor underwater and neutralizes Namor's relative Namora, Mabel Cadena, before she will be able to attack Shuri. Another Talokan somebody grabs Shuri, however Nakia hits her with a fatal sonic blast. She escapes with Shuri and Riri, however Namor finds the somebody as she dies, taking it as an attack on Wakanda's part, thus he leads his warriors to strike back. Within the city, Nakia reunites with Okoye, but they before long see the world flooding before they notice they're below attack. The Talokans begin to waterbomb the city, flooding the places and destroying
Buildings. Baku, Winston Duke, leads his Jabari warriors in battle, whereas Shuri makes an attempt to fight back along with her tech. Namor makes it to the palace and water bombs it heavily, inflicting Ramonda and Riri to sink. Namor orders Shuri to affix them within the attack against the surface world, or Wakanda are utterly destroyed.
Ramonda manages to drag Riri to the surface, however they're each unconscious. The Dora Milaje manage to revive Riri, but Ramonda is gone.
A ceremonial occasion is control for Ramonda.
Baku makes an attempt to console Shuri and provide counsel, as Chala requested of him, but she is mourning the loss of her whole family. Meanwhile, Val has Ross inactive when learning he was reproval Ramonda in secret, whereas the remainder of Wakanda gears up for Namor's return. Shuri finishes work on her Midnight Angel suits for Okoye and another Dora Milaje warrior, Annika, Michaela Seal, whereas Riri works on her own iron suit. Shuri finds that the bracelet that Namor gave her contains a fabric that the Tolokans accustomed live underwater, that she mixes with Chala desoxyribonucleic acid to with success produce an artificial simple herb. With Nakia and Okoye, Shuri ingests the herb and goes into the ancestral plane, hoping to examine Ramonda to provide her guidance. Instead, she is met by an unwanted presence, Killmonger, Michael B. Jordan. He explains that she sees him as a result of she is being driven by her want for revenge against Namor for her mother's death and her anger over her brother's death, stating that she is simply like him. Killmonger conjointly says Chala was too noble and would have also chosen to spare Namor like he did Zemo when his father was killed. Once Shuri wakes up, she is unable to inform Nakia that she saw Killmonger and feels that her mother and brother abandoned her. However, she is aware of it's currently up to her to steer the Dominion in battle, so she goes to find her own helmet. Because the tribes are debating their next move, a ship flies overhead, and Shuri descends for the primary time in her new Black Panther outfit. Baku with pride declares that the Black Panther lives. Shuri then offers everybody a speech regarding what they need to try to do next. Shuri and Riri return up with an idea for drawing Namor toward a dry space to weaken him, thus he is also defeated. The Wakandans board a ship to arrange for battle, and that they transport an indication from another vibranium detecting machine to lure the Tolokans to them. They have interaction in their showdown, with the Tolokans trying to board the ship, whereas Dora Milaje and Jabari warriors fight back. Riri emerges in her new Ironheart armor suit, while Okoye and Annika fly in with their time of day angel suits. Namor gets high enough for Riri to hit him with a blast, and Shuri catches him in her ship to start evaporating the water on his skin. Riri is attacked by Namora, while Okoye encompasses a repetition with a Tuma. Riri blasts Namora into the ocean while Okoye knocks a Tuma off the ship. Namor makes an attempt to interrupt the ship together with his spear, however Shuri fights him along with her suit. Shuri tries to own the ship fly toward the desert, but Namor succeeds in breaking it down and destroying it, inflicting them to crash. Shuri and Namor continue their fight, with Namor still having enough strength to beat Shuri and impale her. Thinking on Killmonger's words, Shuri is ready to free and heal herself before going back to fighting Namor. She uses the exhaust from her ship to fireside enough heat toward Namor to severely weaken him. She grabs his spear and prepares to deal the killing blow till she sees a vision of Ramonda chatting with her, telling her to indicate him who she extremely is. Shuri orders Namor to yield an order that neither of their folks must suffer from their pursuits for revenge, and Namor agrees. He yields and is taken back to the Tolokans to decision off their fight and come back home. Within the aftermath, Shuri sends Riri home back to Beantown, however tells her she has to leave her suit there for worry that the North American country can resume quarrels with Wakanda. She will gift Riri with the automobile that belonged to her father, currently mounted up
Back in Talokan, Namor speaks to Namora and tells her it absolutely was necessary to ally themselves with Wakanda. He yields and is taken back to the Talokans to decision off their fight and come back home. Within the aftermath, Shuri sends Riri home back to Beantown, however tells her she has to leave her suit there for worry that the North American country can resume quarrels with Wakanda. She will gift Riri with the automobile that belonged to her father, currently mounted up. Back in Talokan, Namor speaks to Namora and tells her it absolutely was necessary to ally themselves with Wakanda, since they need no different allies to shield them, and this can add their own favor. Meanwhile, Okoye goes to interrupt out Ross from captivity. Shuri travels to Haiti to satisfy with Nakia by a beach, as she says there's one issue she must do. She sits by a fire and burns her ceremonial garbs, as she sits right down to envision T'Challa and eventually grieve for his death. Throughout the credits, Nakia brings a boy, Toussaint, Divine Love Kanada's son, who is her and T'Challa's son, and so Shuri's nephew. Nakia confirms that Ramonda met him before her death, which he has been living peacefully there. Toussaint tells Shuri that his Wakandan name is T'Challa. Shuri sits and smiles, knowing her brother's inheritance lives on. The last item we have a tendency to see could be a dedication to Chadwick Boseman. Please subscribe my channel. Thank you for watching.